Imagine spending your entire life worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praying, obeying Him, avoiding sin, trying your best to get closer to Him every single day. But then, a sinner enters paradise while you are thrown into hell. How could that possibly happen? This story is narrated in Sahih Muslim and Sunan Dawud. And what makes it terrifying is that it began with a man who looked like a better Muslim. Among the children of Israel were two men. Both wanted Allah, but they took very different paths. One of them constantly fell into sin, while the other spent his entire life striving in worship. And whenever the worshipper saw the man sinning, he would tell him to stop.
Refrain from sin, brother.
At first, it doesn't sound strange. In fact, it sounds good, because Islam encourages us to advise one another. But this story is not about what he said. It is about what slowly started happening in his heart. Because every time he saw that other man sin, he found another reason to look down on him. And every time the sinner fell, one question was slightly rising. Who was closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The worshipper thought he knew the answer, but Allah had not revealed it. The days passed, the worshipper continued worshipping, while the sinner continued struggling. But then, the moment eventually came. The worshipper once again found the man falling into sin. So once again he told him to stop. But this time the sinner replied,
"Leave me alone with my Lord."
"Leave me alone with my Lord." But then he asked a question which changed everything. "Have you been sent as a watchman over me?" Now pause for a moment, because this is where this entire story shifts. Until now, the worshipper was correcting a sinner, but now the next words would be different, and those words would destroy everything. The worshipper became angry. Perhaps he was tired of seeing the same sins. Perhaps he was convinced that this man would never change. We are not told. What we are told is what came out of his mouth, and that is what matters, because he said, "I swear by Allah,
Allah will never forgive you.
and Allah will never enter you into paradise." Now think about what just happened. A human being speaking on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A servant acting as if he knows the final decision of his Lord. A man who does not control paradise. A man who does not control hell. A man who does not control forgiveness. Speaking as if all those things belong to him. But then both of them died. Now another question appears. What would Allah say about those words? Because one of those men had spent his entire life worshipping. Surely the worshipper would be rewarded, right? But when they stood before Allah, everything changed. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the worshipper, "Did you have knowledge of me? Or did you have power over what is in my hand?" And with that question, every illusion collapsed. Because the worshipper had forgotten something. Doesn't matter how much you worship, you are still a servant. You do not decide who receives mercy. You do not decide who receives forgiveness. You do not decide who receives paradise. Those decisions belong to Allah alone. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the sinner, "Go and enter paradise through my mercy." Imagine hearing that. Imagine hearing that. The man everyone would have given up on receives mercy. The man everyone thought was finished receives paradise. The man whose story looked hopeless was not hopeless to Allah. But the story is not over, because now comes the most frightening part. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded concerning the worshipper, "Take him to hell." One sentence, one decision, one outcome nobody expected. And suddenly, the entire story is turned upside down. The sinner enters paradise. The worshipper enters hell. Not because worship is bad, not because sins do not matter, but because something more dangerous had entered the worshipper's heart. He became certain about something Allah had never told him. He closed the door that Allah had left open, the door of mercy. And this is why Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh made a remarkable comment after narrating this story. He said that this man spoke a word by which his worldly life and his hereafter were destroyed. One sentence, that is all it took. Not a sword, not an army, not years of disbelief, a sentence which should make every one of us stop and think. Because most people would never say, I'm better than Allah. Yet sometimes people speak as though they know Allah's final judgment. That person is finished. Allah will never forgive him. There is no hope for her. He is definitely going to hell. But how do we know? Did Allah give us the knowledge of the unseen? Did He hand us the keys of paradise? Did He place His mercy under our control? Of course not. And that is what makes the story so personal. The worshipper did not wake up intending to destroy himself. He wanted goodness. He wanted obedience. He wanted people to leave sin. But somewhere along the way, he forgot who he was. A servant. And he forgot who Allah is. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. The most gracious and the most merciful. The one who forgives whomever He wills. The one who guides whomever He wills. The one who can change a heart in a single moment. Which brings us back to the question we started with. How can a man spend his entire life worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and still end up in hellfire? The answer is that he forgot his place. He tried to decide something that only belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the lesson is terrifyingly simple. Never let your worship make you arrogant. Never let your knowledge make you arrogant. Never let your righteousness make you arrogant. Because the moment a servant begins acting as if he controls Allah's mercy, he has already forgotten what it means to be a servant. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this story is that no matter how far someone has fallen, as long as they are alive, the door of Allah's mercy remains open. And this is exactly what happened to this man who had taken 100 souls, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still forgave him. Watch how. And never lose hope in Allah's mercy for yourself or for anyone else. I'll see you in the next video, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khair for watching. Subscribe.